the last 18 months or so, I have performed what we could call a deep dive into Ford's new rear-wheel drive SUV platform. It started off about a year and a half ago when I test drove the then new 2020 Lincoln Aviator, a Reserve, the non-hybrid model. In all, I thought it made a lot of sense. The value, the performance, the styling, fit, finish, all of the above. So I was somewhat looking forward to test driving, follow up the Aviator, if you will, with a 2020 Ford Explorer. Now the model I test drove was a Platinum, which means that it featured the same twin turbocharged 3-liter V6 and, well, a very, very spicy price tag at about $65,000 before options. And I'm pretty sure you haven't seen the video, so I'm just going to let you know that I was extremely disappointed on a number of levels with that vehicle. In my review, I do mention that there is one model that I would very much like to drive. Now, despite my disappointment in the Explorer Platinum, I did, just a few months ago, test drive a 2021 Lincoln Aviator Grand Touring, yes, and the plug-in hybrid model. In a nutshell, that went very, very wrong on all kinds of levels. But that did not discourage me from taking this one out. This is the Ford Explorer I was looking forward to the most to test drive, and this is the 2021 Explorer Limited Hybrid. Why? Well, because it's got the space, it's got the styling, and it's got a hybrid powertrain. I can be reasonable about fuel efficiency, carbon footprints, and all of that. And, well, what disappointed me in many parts, or on many levels, with the Platinum is back in this lesser model. And, well, the hybrid powertrain didn't exactly deliver what I had hoped. So let's pretend like this is the first time you see me review one of Ford's rear-wheel drive platform SUVs, and we'll do the usual walk around. We'll talk about price and the drive, and we'll come to some form of conclusion. Now, as I walk around, before I give you all the pricing, we could just give a brief note to the Explorer styling, and well, the note is definitely a pass. It really, really looks good. Every version, every trim, XLT on up, all the way to the Platinum and ST have, I don't know, wonderful lines, powerful presence. I mean, if you really had to nitpick, I guess you could say the front end looks a little bit timid when you measure it up against its overall size, but in general, it's a very, very attractive SUV. The pricing in the US starts at $32,450. They have rear-wheel drive models. We do not. In Canada, the base model, the XLT, is $45,549, and then you move into the Limited, which is your first trim that you can get. Sorry about the shadow. A hybrid powertrain. So the Limited starts at $49,855 in Canada, and if you want the hybrid, you have to pay an extra $3,000. So essentially, the hybrid starts at $53,000 in Canada. That includes a fair amount of stuff. I mean, if you go from the XLT of the power driver seat, 8-inch display, Sync 3, captain seats, 18-inch wheels. Moving up to the Limited, you get a wireless charger, heated steering wheel, XM radio, leather seats, and these 20-inch wheels. So all in all, it's very, very well loaded, which is another reason why at $53,000 I was excited to take this vehicle for a test drive. There isn't much new to say about overall size. I mean, we'll just do the quick walk around as per the usual. Power hatch to be expected, which opens up, so that's your full about 1,400 liters of trunk space, if I'm not mistaken, 1,356. Now that number comes to mind. Third row right there is power activated via those controls. Very doable, easy to get to. Even, I mean, I'm only about 5'10", so I fit. Storage under here is fantastic. You have extra little bins right there. I can open that up for you. There you go. Good stuff. I mean, it's all kind of loose and it moves very easily. But overall, I mean, that's a very useful, very functional. And one thing I do like about the Ford Explorer is, or what Ford has done is with the long wheelbase, was able to create a rear door that is extremely long, which gives you more access to the second and third rows very easily. Now here you have the old double kids setup. The seats are fantastic. I mean, the space available. As I said, there's captain seats, but you do have a little storage here. Like I mentioned also, the third row is accessible. It can be done. I love these shades, a wonderful touch. And it's fine. I you know what, but this, not so much. And that's just more or less the start of what I discovered with the Platinum. I'm kind of flying right through it because I'm repeating myself and I don't want to cheat anyone out of a useful review. But it's a combination of decent textures, materials, fit finish, and then some very, very cheap stuff that actually scratches very easy. Unfortunately, kids, whatever. But that's, I mean, that's tolerable. As I said, power seat, power lumbar as well. You also get a power driver, passenger seat, sorry. I'm just gonna slide right aboard. I don't even know where to start here. We'll start it up, how about that? Well, we're there. So that's your standard 8-inch screen, which with Sync 3 has been okay. Occasionally slow to react, but a little bit better than the Platinum I drove last year with the larger 10.1-inch screen. I have nothing really negative to say here, so we can move on. This is your gauge cluster with your, yes, I know I'm almost empty. Yeah, if you keep that in mind, 540 kilometers and 10.4. So I'll get back to that in a few moments. When you take a step back and you take in, you know, the dashboard as a whole, it's not so bad, but it's the second you start digging a little bit deeper. I mean, it's the same thing as in the Platinum. It's like fit and finish is wrong. It's actually a little bit better here than the Platinum, but like it's evenly bad. So I don't know if that was the plan when they put it together, but that's what's happened. So it is a quick view of the visibility, which is quite good. You have that opening right there. But then you work your way down here and you find this, which is a little bit loose. Doesn't line up properly. Even if I push it back down, you can see that I'm not exaggerating anything. And the plastics are cheap. This faux wood it looks not great and it doesn't feel any better. But I can almost accept it a little bit more because this is a $53,000 hybrid. Storage, as always, is great for, you know, masks, wires, grocery lists, stuff like that. And cleaner. This is still a little bit of an issue. I mean, you can do this, right? You're doing a 3-point turn, you go too fast. Crap, you're in park and then you suddenly go flying forward or backward, depending what gear you're in. Anyhow, that is still an annoyance. This is your drive mode selector. This is also important. So by default, you start off in normal. Does that even show up? I can't even tell. So then you have slippery. I went the wrong way. The important ones are eco and sport. I hope sport you can see. At least I can. Okay, so beyond that, we'll go back into normal. Beyond that, well, again, look, storage is good here. Door bins are good. I think I've said enough about the interior. The layout is great. Ergonomics are tight. Heated, cooled. Nice combination. But it's really when you start driving that the Explorer Hybrid kind of comes to, well, you'll see. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to do it now, but so I'm just putting it into reverse. Okay, well, it started creeping backwards before I got my foot on the throttle, so I guess it's not all the time. But the thing is, like the Aviator plug-in hybrid, there's an enormous delay in throttle response when backing up, and very much or almost like in the Aviator hybrid, in my slightly angled driveway at home, when I shifted to reverse, for a moment, instead of engaging reverse, it actually rolled forward. The Aviator plug-in hybrid did the exact same thing, and that displeased me to a level I can barely properly explain. I suppose, right, we'll start with a negative. No, let's not. Let's talk about the positive. The positive notes are that I really am liking naturally aspirated V6 engines. There's a docility to them that we tend to forget because we're so used to everything being boosted. But the 3.3 liter engine in here, when it's doing its thing, is really nice. It's relatively quiet unless you're really nailing it, but that's nice. The 10-speed automatic transmission too. It's good. I suppose there's so much negative to throw in there, so I won't have a choice. As long as it's in like gear 4 and above. Because then what happens? I showed you the drive modes, right? By default, you end up in normal. And for the most part, when you're driving in the city, where a hybrid should shine, where a hybrid should excel because of the presence of an electric motor, which will give you that initial boost to break inertia to get going before the petrol engine kicks in. In normal mode, it's, I don't know. The system just seems absolutely confused. Mild throttle will give you, for the most part, just enough electric assistance to get moving until the petrol engine comes in, which is at about the same time as the transmission shifts. There's all kinds of rocking going on back and forth. It's unbelievably unpleasant. It's as though the brain of the system is thinking that at any given moment you might want to go super eco, or you might want to go super sport. So it changes on the spot depending on throttle inputs, and for the most part, you saw how much mileage I had, right? 540 kilometers. For the most part, it gets it wrong, and that's incredibly annoying and unpleasant. What's worse is that in the city, like I said, where a hybrid should shine, Toyota's, makes a lot of hybrids, and you can tell just by the numbers and then through the driving experience that you'll notice an almost identical fuel consumption number or rating between city and highway. That's on paper and in real life, in the real world. Now, on paper, this will consume 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 9 on the highway. So right away, this is a different type of hybrid. And, well, you noticed it said 10.4 liters per 100 kilometers. And that's because of those 540, a little over 400 kilometers were performed on the highway. Now, I reset the trip computer before I left on my longish road trip with the family only yesterday. I was at just shy of 13 liters per 100 kilometers because the majority of my driving had been done in the city. So the highway, and I'm not doing 105 kilometers an hour. The cruise control is maybe at 115, give or take. And you can almost see the fuel mileage number drop as I'm driving. So this is a hybrid for highway cruising. It's not for city cruising, which is really weird. Now, about the normal drive mode, the mess that it's going through, the chaos it's trying to deal with, well, you can fix that by going into either eco or sport. Now, sport in the city is not a good idea, so you go into eco. So what that does is it sets up the brain as like any other drive mode in any other vehicle, where it dulls everything. And by doing so, the transmission, the V6, and the electric motor are kind of working a little bit more in unison, which absolutely, well, not absolutely, but almost completely levels out the shuffling, the shifting, the the horrible lack of refinement in this powertrain when it's in normal. On the highway, you can leave it in normal, and once you get up to speed, it is absolutely happy. The transmission just goes, 10 to 6 and then 6 to 10 if you're passing, or maybe even a lower gear. Not entirely sure, it's a little bit difficult to count. But on the highway is where this SUV is happiest. So if you're buying a hybrid because you want to get some kind of fuel economy in the city, this is not it. Get a Highlander hybrid. On the highway, well, it's a toss-up between the two. If efficiency is the only reason why you're getting a large 3-row or a large mid-sized 3-row hybrid SUV. There's another thing, unfortunately, and that's the transition between the petrol engine shutting off and the electric motor taking up. Even under braking, you can feel the change in the assistance in the brake pedal when you come to a stop. In eco mode, it's almost completely absent from that weird shifting and assistance. It almost feels like the pedal is vibrating. It is incredibly unpleasant. What more can I tell you? I surmise, or I guess, that a lot of these compromises have been done in order for the Explorer Hybrid to maintain a lot of its capabilities. I'm about to head on, well, actually maybe I won't. No, it's gonna get bad. Because this thing, when it properly equipped, can still tow up to 5,000 pounds. Maybe a little more than that, I'm not 100% sure. Which is better than a lot of mid-size 3-row SUVs. But that you pay the price as far as hybrid capabilities. So we're kind of out of the rough patch. There's one thing though, in the Platinum, it was the one I tested had the 21-inch wheels, and I guessed, based on this one with the 20-inch wheels, that ride quality is better with the smaller wheels, and it is. This platform, the chassis, the way it's tuned, everything is still very adequately comfortable. There's a considerable amount of refinement, even when I'm leaning, and those nasty bumps that I just went through. The SUV feels good as a whole when you're driving. As far as handling is concerned, steering is very heavy, but you quickly forget about it and get used to it. Wow, I think I said enough. Maybe too much, I'm not even sure. I feel like I'm missing something. But to conclude, I guess, given that the base engine in the Explorer, the 2.3 EcoBoost Turbo, will consume only about a half-liter more per 100 kilometers on paper than the hybrid, maybe that's the one to get. Because you can get it as low as $45,000, $46,000 for the base model. I guess that's what I need to find out next year. Get a 2022 XLT or a Limited with the 2.3. In the segment, look, it's a no-brainer. I mentioned Highlander Hybrid. If you want a hybrid, that's the one to get. Otherwise, there's so many options. Atlas, not so much. Durango, I still love. Pilot is still a great choice. Traverse, if you really have to. But yeah, there you go. I'll try. I'll stop now.